Today, we need to reflect honestly. Are we trusting Jesus for his provision in our life? Do we genuinely believe that he sees our struggles? That he sees our exhaustion? That he sees our anxiety? This story starts with Jesus' disciples returning from their busy mission field. They were tired yet excited because they had been preaching and healing and serving others, just as they were told to do in Mark 6:12-13. And Jesus recognizes their fatigue immediately, understanding that ministry, although rewarding, can also be exhausting. He tells them with empathy in verse 31, he says this, "Come away to a quiet place and rest a while." Have you guys ever, parents will understand this, have you ever tried to just grab a moment of rest and peace from your young toddler? That doesn't happen, right? Mom finally gets to sit down, she sits down at the table, and all of a sudden the toddler's like, play, get me. Here's the thing, it doesn't change all that much with teenagers, right? You do the same thing, you're resting, and all of a sudden the teenager's like, I'm bored. Can we go and do something? It's impossible to rest. I think one of my favorite, this is a funny story, a little bit of a funny story. One of my favorite things that Heather and I have done, guilty pleasure, we do Instagram reels, we'll watch those together, we share them with each other. One of my favorite ones that we've sent is a mother hiding in a pantry closet, just trying to steal a moment of eating a Snickers without her child being able to take it from her, right? They deeply needed rest. They're seeking rest, but they've been immediately met with more demands from these children, right? Notice in this scene that Jesus intuitively sees their need for rest before they even mentioned it. He anticipates their exhaustion and offers exactly what they require, time away from the demands of their mission. However, their planned rest is abruptly interrupted when a large crowd discovers their location and quickly gathers around Jesus and his disciples. Not only did he discover where they were, they actually got to the location before that group even got there. That's like saying, all right, guys, I'm going to go home now. It was wonderful worshiping with you this morning, and you are all at my house at 1 o'clock this afternoon. That would be a surprise. But instead of being irritated or impatient with this interruption, Jesus reacts with a remarkable compassion. This reaction shows that he saw a great crowd. We see this in verse 34. He saw a great crowd, and he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. This metaphor shows Jesus' care and concern for people who are spiritually wandering, and especially those that are spiritually vulnerable. And without hesitation, Jesus begins teaching the crowd, addressing their spiritual needs before anything else. Jesus starts by feeding them the Word of God. As the day draws to an end, a practical issue arises. The crowd is vast, numbering 5,000 men alone. That doesn't include women and children. The numbers are somewhere between 8,000 to 12,000 is the estimates that we have on how many people were actually present at this time. So the disciples, concerned about this practical problem of this large crowd becoming hungry and them having to figure out, man, how are we going to feed so many people, suggest that Jesus just sends the crowds away. Let them go figure this out. Let them go into the neighboring towns. They can wander for a couple hours and they'll figure it out. Jesus, however, challenges them gently by saying this, verse 37, you give them something to eat. Makes it really clear. Disciples, we are the ones that are going to feed them. I've been feeding them the word, and now we are going to feed their stomachs. This instruction puzzles the disciples because, humanly speaking, the task literally seems impossible. If we didn't plan, this week we've got a potluck out back, we signed up last week to bring food that hopefully there would be enough food for all people to eat. That would be as if I announced this morning, hey, we're doing a potluck in 3 hours. But you got to sit in the service for 2 hours, and we'll just hopefully figure out the food thing in the end. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. It takes too much planning. They question how such a large crowd can be fed with limited resources, just 5 loaves and 2 fish. But Jesus uses as an opportunity to demonstrate his compassion and provision in a miraculous way. See, he's going to take this small amount of food, the 5 loaves and these 2 fish, and he actually begins to distribute it amongst the crowd. 10,000 people. 5 pieces of bread and 2 fish. Astonishingly, everyone eats their fill to the point of where they're satisfied. They didn't just have a bite or two that's going to hold them over so they can grab fast food back home or on the way home. They were satisfied. And then we see that the disciples collect 12 full baskets of leftovers. That's in verses 41 to 43. This detail, this 12 leftover baskets, is actually highly significant. And it tells us what's a little bit different about this passage. See, it's not merely a coincidence, but it's actually an intentional sign from Jesus. Each disciple, the 12 disciples, each disciple now holding a basket overflowing with leftovers, personally witnessed Jesus' abundant care and provision. If it wasn't a miracle enough that Jesus was just able to feed the 5,000 plus people that were there, he made sure that there was a basket, heaping of food for each one of the disciples that were doing the work alongside Jesus. It symbolizes that he deliberately and generously provides not only for this immediate crowd, but specifically for his disciples, those who are actively engaged in his mission. Now, through this miracle, Jesus teaches us a critical lesson. His compassion is generous, it is intimately personal, and it's abundant, overflowing, heaping. Especially during times when we feel overwhelmed or inadequate. He meets our practical needs in ways far beyond human expectations or capability. Guys, sometimes it just means we need to be spiritually fed. I'm saying that because that's what I needed today, even. My week was hard. I was asking those same questions that I opened this sermon with all this week. They're not just meant for you to reflect on how busy you are, but it's how I felt this week. And then singing these songs together. It's just amazing how God filled my soul and my spirit. Today, we need to reflect honestly. Are we trusting Jesus for his provision in our life? Do we genuinely believe that he sees our struggles, that he sees our exhaustion, that he sees our anxiety? Jesus doesn't merely sympathize with us. He doesn't just look at us and go like, oh, they're there. It's just a busy season. If you get through the next 6 weeks, you'll be okay. He actively and abundantly provides for us. When life's demands feel overwhelming, when tasks seem insurmountable, or when you feel exhausted by responsibilities, Jesus invites you to trust him deeply. In those moments when anxiety is creeping in, stress, frustrations, handicap from the busyness, that's how it comes out in me. My anxiousness, if it gets to such a level that I'm not going to the Lord with it, I'll shut down. I turn into a sluggard. Those are the moments in my life where I know that I need to be drawing closer and nearer to God, and that's what we are invited to do. We are invited to trust him deeply. He offers not just spiritual support, but also practical and tangible provision. Rest confidently in his compassionate care, because it is assured. He genuinely understands our needs, and he generously wants to meet them. Now, I'll make it really clear. What our actual needs are and what God is going to meet, and what we think our desires are, can be different things. So I'll make it really clear. I'm not saying if you in your mind tell yourself, all right, God, I need to make $120,000 a year to live comfortably. And then you expect God to give you $120,000, that's not how that works. I want to make that really clear. This is not some health, wealth, gospel, prosperity thing. Name it and claim. That's not how God works at all. But God will meet your needs as they need to be met according to God's will. I'll make that really clear. So if you feel like he's fallen short, your expectations might have been outside God's will. Keep that in mind.